Hey folks, this is just an example video on solving to be able to find all of the zeros in a polynomial and then how to write in factored form. So we're going to run through this one pretty quickly. So the first thing is that we have to find the possibles. Remember that you find the possibles by looking at the factors of the constant, and then you're going to divide by the factors of the leading coefficient. So if we're looking at that, the factors of the constant are 1 and 5. The factors of the leading coefficient are 1 and 2. When you write this in fraction form, you'll have a plus or minus 1, a plus or minus 1/5. Remember, that's where you take both of the top and the bottom and divide by the 1. And then you will also have a plus or minus 1/2 and a plus or minus 5/2. Again, that's where you take both pieces on top and divide by the 2 on the bottom. And then if we look at Descartes' rule of signs, there's only one positive real zero because there's only one sign change in f of x. And then if you plug in a negative x, you will find that there is 2 sign changes for f of negative x. So we will have either 2 or 0 negative real zeros. Now's the time to graph. And what you look at here, I went ahead and graphed this and posted it on the page. So I'm really only looking for one real zero. And I think you'll be able to tell here that it's happening halfway between 0 and 1. And so I'm going to try the x value of 1/2, x equals 1/2. So let's go ahead, we'll try x equals 1/2, and we list our coefficients out and do the synthetic division. And then what I find is that I have the quadratic left over, 2x squared plus 4x plus 10. We'll set that equal to 0, and then we'll solve this. We have multiple ways of solving. The first thing I'm going to do is get that GCF out of there, just so that it's not messing with the question, and it makes my numbers a little bit smaller. And what I find next is that factoring will not work. Completing the square would work quite well, but it looks like I went ahead and chose to do the quadratic formula. So you plug in your quadratic formula. Just showing you here the answers, not the answers, but the work and the simplification. So I have two zeros here, complex zeros at -1 plus 2i and -1 minus 2i. So I tried x equals 1/2, it worked, and then I came up with 2 more zeros. And now what we want to do is, this answers the first part of the question, to find the complex zeros of the polynomial. But then we also have the second part of the question where it says to write in factored form. So in order to write in factored form, let's go ahead and take each of our zeros and we will turn them into factors. Each of our zeros, turn them into factors. Now I'm about ready to write these down in as a product. Well, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll take our factors, and what we will do is we'll go ahead and list our factors. And you say, where did that 2 come from out front? So here's what I want you to do. Take a look back at the original. You'll notice that our leading coefficient here is 2. So that means that our leading coefficient here must also be 2. Now, before I can do anything, I'm about to multiply these together. It says write in factored form, but remember your complex factors should be as an irreducible quadratic. So I need to multiply those 2 together, and in order to multiply those 2 together, I need to know what my a and my b are back here in the zeros. So my a value is a -1, my b value you could say is either a 2 or a -2. So then let's go ahead, we'll copy down the first 2 factors, but then we will plug into what I like to call little dude back in class. You have that written down. hopefully according to what we did in class. And so then we have, once we've got little dude, we'll go ahead and simplify little dude and simplify it a little bit further. And this is going to be the factored form of my polynomial.